In the final years of the Neo Geo, SNK delivered one last masterstroke. A game that didn't just close a chapter, it opened a new one. Garou, Mark of the Wolves, released in 1999, was more than a sequel. It was a passing of the torch, a game that dared to say goodbye to legends, and welcomed a new generation with blood-soaked fists and a fighter's heart. Set a decade after the fall of Geese Howard, Garou is a game steeped in legacy and mourning. It's a world without Terry's hat, without the roar of the classic Fatal Fury cast. But the spirit? That fighting spirit never died. In this video, we'll step into the arena and look back at Garou's ambitious reinvention. Its masterful mechanics, incredible animation, and the story of a young fighter caught between two legacies. This is the tale of wolves old and new. This is Garou, Mark of the Wolves. By the late 90s, SNK was fighting a battle on two fronts. The arcade landscape was changing, making room for polygonal giants like Tekken and Virtua Fighter, while Capcom was flexing its 2D muscles with Street Fighter 3. The Neo Geo MVS, once the undisputed king of arcade sprite work, was nearing its final act, but SNK wasn't ready to exit quietly. Instead, they delivered a statement piece. Built to show the world what the MVS could still do, Garou was a ground-up reimagining of the Fatal Fury series. A new cast, an updated setting, a more grounded tone. Only Terry Bogard remained, older, quiet, and missing his iconic hat. According to Yasuyuki Oda, one of the game's key planners, we were aiming to create a worldview that would attract as wide an audience as possible. And as far as fighting games are concerned, I think the main character is primarily responsible for establishing the identity of the world and setting. That's why Rock Howard, Geese's son, raised by Terry, was placed front and center. His presence tied together the old and new, giving fans a reason to care, while allowing SNK to build something fresh. The shift wasn't just thematic, it was visual. Garou pushed the Neo Geo to its absolute limit. Fluid, hand-drawn animation rivaled Street Fighter 3 in detail and nuance. Every motion was deliberate, every frame packed with personality. Lead designer Nobuyuki Kuroki later reflected, "I propose the characters should take a different direction than previous Fatal Fury series. I believe that we created one of the highest quality animation in the Neo Geo fighting games. Not only me, but also all staff who worked on Fatal Fury made use of all their past experiences on this title. The result? A game that didn't just look like the future, it felt like the final word in what 2D animation on the Neo Geo could be." Garou, Mark of the Wolves doesn't just impress with looks, it delivers a deeply refined combat system that rewards precision, timing, and momentum. While earlier Fatal Fury games played with ideas like plane shifting and looser movement, Garou stripped things down. The result is tight, grounded gameplay that feels closer to Street Fighter 3, but with its own SNK flair. The biggest innovation, the tactical offense position, or TOP system. At the start of a match, players select a segment of their health bar, beginning, middle, or end. When their life enters that zone, they enter top mode. In this state, fighters gain access to increased damage, gradual health regeneration, and a flashy new top attack. A stylish, high-risk move that can shift the match's momentum in a heartbeat. Then there's the just defend mechanic, SNK's answer to parrying. If you block an attack at the exact moment it connects, you not only negate chip damage, but also gain a small window to counter, and even recover a sliver of health. Unlike Street Fighter 3's aggressive parry system, Just Defend rewards patience and defense, subtly shifting the rhythm of high-level matches. Combine that with feints, guard crushes, command normals, and character-specific supers, and Garou emerges as one of the most mechanically rich 2D fighters of its era. Every frame of animation serves function as well as style, movements are clear, hitboxes are precise, and the game's deliberate pacing encourages reads over rushdowns. It's a system built on discipline, but with just enough flair to keep it stylish. For a game released on aging hardware, Garou plays like something ahead of its time. In many ways, Garou is a soft reboot, not just for the Fatal Fury series, but for SNK's entire fighting game philosophy. The roster doesn't rely on familiar faces or callbacks, instead it introduces an entirely new generation of fighters, each with a distinct style, background, and role in the world. At the center is Rock Howard, a walking contradiction, son of a crime lord Geese Howard, raised by Fatal Fury's longtime hero, Terry Bogard. Rock's fighting style fuses both influences, melding Geese's counter-heavy, brutal attacks with Terry's flashier special moves. He's not just a new protagonist, he is the ideological tension of the franchise made flesh. Around him, the cast is surprisingly nuanced. Hotaru Futaba, a graceful martial artist searching for her lost brother, represents kindness and calm in a chaotic world. Her missing sibling? None other than Gato, a feral, cold-blooded fighter whose gameplay is all aggression. Their tragic connection isn't spelled out per se, it's layered into their win quotes and subtle animations. Then there's Freeman, a serial killer with hair of crimson, who feels like he wandered in from an episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and when he wins, he licks the blood from his hands. Garou also has room for levity thanks to Bairn Jeanette, a charismatic pirate queen who's less concerned with honor and more with style. As leader of the Lillian Knights, she fights with dance-like kicks and mocking confidence. But beneath the sass, there's a sense she's hiding deeper ambitions. Her presence adds color and unpredictability to a roster already full of personality. SNK's world building here is subtle but effective. Stages feel lived in, rusting trains, grimy alleyways, neon-lit pleasure districts. You won't find fireballs on temple rooftops or fights in fantasy palaces. This is a world recovering from something, an urban future haunted by its past. And perhaps most importantly, Terry Bogod's new design. Brown jacket, quiet demeanor, signals the changing of an era. He's no longer the loud, red-capped poster boy. He's the mentor now, a fighter whose time has passed, yet still fights because someone has to light the way. Garou's cast isn't about nostalgia, it's about evolution. And in that, it sets itself apart from nearly every other fighter of its time. Garou doesn't tell its story with cinematic flair or long-winded exposition. There are no drawn-out anime cutscenes or massive lore dumps. Instead, the game speaks through implication, through stage design, rival intros, and understated ending scenes. This is a world where the past matters, but it's slipping into memory. Southtown still exists, but it's different now. Less lawless, more weathered. Familiar landmarks have faded. The legacy of Geese Howard, the crime lord who once ruled the city, lingers like smoke, but he's gone. What remains are the children of the aftermath, fighters who inherited the consequences of the old world. For Rock Howard, this weight is personal. In his ending, after defeating Grant, the masked guardian of the tournament, he discovers that Kine, our Heinlein, the tournament's mastermind, is actually his uncle, Geese's brother-in-law. Kine offers Rock a new path, power, purpose, and control over a broken world, but Rock initially refuses, not with anger, but quiet resolve. As he is about to turn away from his uncle, Kane reveals that he has valuable secrets pertaining to Rock's mother. Unable to discover information without assistance, Rock decides to join with Kane. Terry arrives on the scene and is accepting of Rock's decision, noting that he'll always be there for him when he returns. It's a subtle emotional moment that lands with surprising impact. There's no dramatic music cue, no victory fanfare here. Other endings carry similar weight. These aren't just world-shaking narratives, but they feel more human, grounded. Garou's story is quiet, but powerful. It's about stepping out of the shadow of legend and choosing your own road. When Garou Mark of the Wolves launched in 1999, it didn't shake the arcade scene overnight. The Neo Geo was aging, arcades were on life support, and the 3D fighting game boom had already pulled attention elsewhere. But over time, Garou earned its place, not as a footnote, but as a crown jewel. It was SNK's most refined fighting game on the Neo Geo, showcasing what decades of 2D sprite craftsmanship could achieve. Its animations were crisp, expressive, and on par with, if not surpassing, Capcom's Street Fighter III in clarity and rhythm. Word of mouth turned into reverence as ports arrived on Dreamcast, PS2, Xbox Live Arcade, and modern consoles. A quiet but loyal player base grew. Tournaments kept it alive. Fan patches and online matchups gave it new life. What stood out most wasn't just the mechanics, it was the mood, the restraint. Garou felt like a fighter that had matured alongside its audience. The bombast of King of Fighters was swapped for tight match pacing and characters caught between legacies and futures. And now that future has arrived. City of the Wolves released this month, and finally picks up the threads that Garou left hanging. We see Rock and Terry once again, not frozen in time, but older, changed. The next generation, characters like Hotaru, B. Jeanette, and newcomers continue to shape Southtown's mythos. It's more than just a sequel, it's a resurrection, a rare moment when a cult classic returns, not just with nostalgia, but with vision. And it stands as a testament to Garou's quiet triumph, a game that didn't need flash or hype to leave its mark, just time, craft, and a fight worth remembering. Garou: Mark of the Wolves was never meant to be a blockbuster. It didn't launch a franchise, it didn't reinvent the genre, it didn't need to. It was a closing statement, a eulogy for the arcade era, and a quiet rebirth for the Fatal Fury series. A game that stood apart not by shouting the loudest, but by choosing every move, every frame, every character arc with precision and care. It was a game about passing torches, about living with legacy, not clinging to it. And now, a quarter of a century later, that flame still burns. Through re-releases, through devoted players, through the return of Southtown in City of the Wolves, Garou lives. And maybe that's the true mark of a classic. Not how loudly it arrived, but how long it echoes after. If you enjoyed this dive into Garou: Mark of the Wolves, consider giving it a like, sharing it with a fellow arcade warrior, and subscribing for more deep cuts from the Golden Age and beyond. Got a favourite SNK title, or a hidden gem you think deserves the spotlight? Drop it in the comments. I'm always watching. And now here's a little sound cue. Can you guess what the next deep dive will be? Until then, be excellent to yourselves and one another, and I'll see you soon.